The finale of Foundation Season 3 didn't just end, it exploded with twists that left fans reeling, questioning everything we thought we knew about the Empire, the Foundation, and the future of humanity. Episode 10 wasn't just a conclusion. It was a setup for an even bigger storm that could completely change the balance of power. If you felt chills in those final minutes, you're not alone. This ending wasn't just about shock value, it was carefully built to push us toward a new era of betrayal, survival, and destiny from the very beginning. Foundation has been a story about the clash between control and chaos, between the destiny the Empire tries to enforce and the unpredictable rise of the Foundation. Season 3, Episode 10 carried that struggle to its breaking point. The finale wasted no time showing us that the stakes are higher than ever, with every choice echoing across centuries of history. Before diving deep into the ending itself, we need to understand what Episode 10 represents in the larger arc of the season. Throughout Season 3, the writers carefully built tension between the rigid, crumbling structure of the Empire and the adaptive, growing influence of the Foundation. By the time we reach the finale, both sides are standing at a crossroads. The Empire clings desperately to tradition and authority, while the Foundation continues to evolve, guided by faith, science, and unexpected alliances. This conflict is not just political. It's deeply personal for every character involved. The final episode amplifies this by bringing several storylines to a dramatic peak. We see long-awaited confrontations finally explode, secrets revealed that shift the balance of power, and characters making choices that will define not only their futures, but the destiny of entire civilizations. The finale doesn't just wrap up plotlines, it exposes the fragility of everything we thought was certain. Episode 10 also delivers on the season's promise of escalating stakes. Each thread of the story, whether it's the inner struggles of Empire, the rising strength of the Foundation, or the mysteries of the Mentalics, comes crashing together with precision. This is where the writers remind us that Foundation is not a story about one hero or one villain. It's about systems, beliefs, and the weight of history itself. In these opening moments of the finale, the pacing is deliberate. It builds suspense, not with action alone, but with the feeling that something enormous is about to break. Every word, every glance, every move feels loaded with meaning. You can sense the characters stepping onto a stage where destiny is waiting. And there's no turning back. By the time the first act of the finale unfolds, the groundwork is set for an ending that feels both shocking and inevitable. We see the themes that have carried the season: faith versus reason, control versus freedom, destiny versus choice, ready to collide in ways that will reshape everything. And this is why the ending hits so hard. It's not random. It's a natural consequence of every decision made throughout the season. As we prepare to break down the finale's ending, it's important to remember this. Foundation doesn't deal in small victories or simple twists. Every moment is part of a grander design, one that stretches across generations. The finale of Season 3, Episode 10 is no exception. It's the moment when all the quiet foreshadowing and careful setups finally detonate, leaving us with both answers and haunting new questions. The finale of Foundation Season 3, Episode 10 doesn't just give us closure, it forces us to re-examine everything we thought we understood. The episode peels back layers of power, loyalty, and destiny, revealing shocking truths while setting up a future that feels darker and more uncertain than ever. Let's break it down step by step, moment by moment. We begin with the Empire on shaky ground. For 3 seasons, the Cleons have ruled with an iron grip, presenting themselves as eternal and unshakable. But in this finale, that illusion crumbles. Day faces the weight of betrayal, not just from those around him, but from the very system he thought guaranteed his immortality. The cracks in the dynasty are no longer hidden, they're tearing the whole structure apart. When we see Day confronted with choices that put survival over pride, it becomes clear the Empire's supposed stability is nothing more than a fragile mask. Meanwhile, the Foundation steps forward with renewed strength. What started as a group of exiles driven by Seldon's vision has now transformed into a force that even the Empire can no longer ignore. The ending shows us the Foundation's ability to inspire faith, not through brute force, but through belief and unity. Their rise has always been the counterpoint to the Empire's slow decline, and here in Episode 10, that contrast reaches its most powerful form. In the final acts, the Foundation is no longer the underdog, it's the challenger ready to change the galaxies. Destiny. One of the most shocking moments of the finale comes with the revelations surrounding the Mentalics. For much of Season 3, they've been a mystery, powerful, unpredictable, and feared by both sides. But Episode 10 forces us to confront the truth about their role. They're not just a wild card. They're a potential key to reshaping the balance of power. When their abilities collide with the fragile egos of Empire and the calculated vision of the Foundation, the result is chaos. The finale doesn't give us neat answers about the Mentalics, it gives us warnings. Their power is raw, unstable, and capable of tipping the scales in terrifying ways. Character arcs also find their boiling point in this episode. Loyalties are tested, betrayals are revealed, and sacrifices are made. Every major player, whether standing with the Empire or the Foundation, faces a moment of truth. Some fall, some rise, and others leave us questioning where they will stand when the story continues. The finale makes one thing very clear: no one is untouchable. Even the most powerful figures can fall when destiny shifts against them. Symbolism runs heavy through the ending. When the Foundation rises in defiance, it's not just a rebellion against the Empire's rule, it's a rebellion against the idea that the future can be controlled by bloodlines and thrones. The finale paints a picture of a galaxy on the edge of transformation. Order and chaos are colliding, and the outcome is uncertain. Every scene pushes us to see beyond the surface, who truly holds power and who is just pretending to. By the time the final moments of the episode arrive, we are left with both resolution and cliffhanger. On one side, we've seen the fall of illusions, the Empire is weaker than ever. On the other, we've seen the rise of possibilities, the Foundation stronger and more determined than before. And yet, the finale refuses to give us comfort. Instead, it ends with tension, with doors wide open for what comes next. The questions it leaves us with are far more powerful than the answers it gives. Who will control the galaxy in the age to come? Can the Foundation truly reshape destiny, or will it fall into the same traps of pride and power as the Empire? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, was this ending inevitable, or was it simply another step in a larger plan that none of the characters fully understand? This is why Episode 10 works so brilliantly as a finale. It doesn't tie everything into a neat bow, it explodes the story open. It gives us closure on certain arcs, but at the same time, it dares us to imagine what happens when the old systems fall and something new begins to rise. The ending of Foundation Season 3 is less about what has ended and more about what has just begun. The ending of Foundation Season 3 Episode 10 doesn't exist in isolation. Every twist, every reveal, every betrayal is tied to seeds planted earlier in the season, and in some cases, even back in Season 1 and 2, the finale is a payoff. But it's also a mirror reflecting everything that's come before. Let's look at the connections and foreshadowing that make Episode 10 so powerful, and how they hint at what's coming next. One of the clearest threads is the collapse of the Cleon Dynasty. Back in Season 1, the genetic dynasty was introduced as the perfect symbol of control, a system designed to keep one man's power eternal by endlessly cloning him. But cracks appeared early day, dawn, and dusk began showing differences, signs that identity cannot be perfectly replicated. In Season 2, those cracks widened as rebellion within and pressure from outside forces exposed the dynasty's weakness. By the time we reach the Season 3 finale, Episode 10 fulfills this long foreshadowed downfall. What once looked like stability has become a ticking time bomb, and the finale finally detonates it. This is not a sudden collapse, it's the result of 3 seasons of slow decay. The Foundation's rise also ties directly into earlier setups. Hari Seldon's hologram in Season 1 warned that empires fall, but that humanity could survive if guided by knowledge and belief. Every move of the Foundation has been shaped by that prophecy, and in Episode 10 we see how those early ideas finally bear fruit. The Foundation no longer feels like a scattered group of followers, it feels like a movement. The finale reflects Seldon's long-game vision, showing us that even when he isn't physically present, his influence is still steering the future. This echoes the foreshadowing that Seldon himself may not need to survive to. When his ideas are immortal, the Mentalics are another thread woven carefully into the story. Earlier episodes showed glimpses of their mysterious power, but often in fragments that left viewers guessing. They were a puzzle piece out of place. By episode 10, the shape of that puzzle becomes clearer. Their psychic influence foreshadows a future where wars may not only be fought with fleets and armies, but with minds themselves. It's a chilling reminder that in Foundation, power doesn't always look like weapons. It can look like whispers inside your head. The finale hints that the Mentalics are not just a threat or an ally, but a force that could redefine the entire balance of the galaxy. Foreshadowing also appears in the personal arcs of key characters. Subtle moments of hesitation, betrayal, or compassion earlier in the season explode into consequences in the finale. A glance in episode 3, a half-truth in episode 6, a broken promise in episode 8. They all return like echoes in episode 10. The finale teaches us that in this universe, nothing is forgotten. Every action is a seed, and every seed eventually blooms. Even if it takes episodes or entire seasons to grow, symbolism deepens these connections. The Empire's reliance on cloning technology symbolizes the illusion of permanence, and episode 10 shatters it by showing how identity cannot be controlled forever. The Foundation's reliance on faith and shared vision symbolizes adaptability, and the finale proves that belief can be as powerful as weapons. Even the setting itself, the grand halls of Empire, the growing colonies of the Foundation, the hidden sanctuaries of the Mentalics are visual foreshadowing. They tell us who is clinging to the past, and who is building toward the future. What makes these connections so brilliant is that they don't feel forced. The finale feels inevitable, because we've been led here step by step. Every betrayal was whispered seasons ago, every fall was hinted at long before it happened. That's why episode 10 hits with such force it feels like prophecy fulfilled. But at the same time, it opens new questions. If all of this was foreshadowed, then what is being foreshadowed now for season 4? What clues are hidden in those final scenes? The final minutes of the episode seem to hold more meaning the more you think about them. A lingering look, a cryptic line, a sudden silence, they're not random. They're breadcrumbs. Just as seasons 1 and 2 planted seeds that paid off in season 3, episode 10 is planting seeds for the future. The foreshadowing here is not just about wrapping up old arcs, it's about hinting at storms we haven't yet seen, and this is where the brilliance of Foundation lies. It doesn't just tell us a story, it tells us a history. History doesn't end in neat chapters. It spills over, with echoes and shadows that stretch into the future. The finale of Season 3, Episode 10 reminds us of this truth. Everything we saw was built on what came before, and everything we just witnessed will shape what's coming next. Asterisk, if the finale of Foundation Season 3 was about tearing down the old order, then Season 4 will be about building something new from the ruins. Episode 10 left us with enough unanswered questions and subtle clues to fuel endless speculation, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into now. Where does the story go from here? What paths are left open, and what storms are waiting to break? Let's explore the most compelling theories for Season 4. The first and most obvious thread is the collapse of the Cleon Dynasty. With Day's authority shaken and the myth of eternal rule shattered, the Empire is weaker than ever. But history and Foundation has shown us that power vacuums never stay empty for long. A theory many fans are already discussing is that internal wars will erupt within the Empire itself. Without the illusion of unity, rival factions, ambitious generals, and even disillusioned citizens may see their chance to strike. Season 4 could become less about Empire versus Foundation, and more about Empire tearing itself apart while the Foundation rises. Imagine a galaxy where the once unbreakable throne is fought over by dozens of would-be rulers. That chaos could be both an opportunity and a threat for the Foundation. On the other side, the Foundation is entering uncharted territory. Season 3 showed their ability to inspire faith and resist control, But Season 4 might explore the darker side of belief. What happens when faith becomes too powerful? What if the foundation, built on the promise of freedom and knowledge, starts to fall into the same traps of control and dogma that doomed the empire? Theories suggest that internal conflict could rise within the foundation itself. Seldon's vision is strong, but visions can be twisted, and belief can be dangerous if it hardens into fanaticism. The Mentalics also stand at the center of speculation. Episode 10 made it clear that they are more than just background players. They are a wild force capable of reshaping the balance of power. A common theory is that Season 4 will explore their potential as either saviors or destroyers. Some believe the Mentalics could align with the Foundation, giving them a new edge against the crumbling empire. Others fear the opposite, that the Mentalics could become a new kind of empire themselves, ruling not through fleets and armies but through psychic domination. Their unpredictability is what makes them so terrifying, and Season 4 could finally show us just how far their influence can reach. Then there's Hari Seldon, whose presence has never truly left the story. Even when dead, even when absent, his shadow stretches across the galaxy. Many fans believe Season 4 will reveal more of Seldon's hidden plans. Did he anticipate the collapse of the dynasty exactly as it unfolded? Has he accounted for the rise of the Mentalics? If the Seldon plan has been guiding humanity through chaos all along, then Season 4 could show us just how much of the chaos was predicted and how much is spiraling out of control. The tension between prophecy and free will likely take center stage again, as characters struggle with the question, are they shaping the future or just acting out a plan already written? Beyond the central factions, we can also expect new threats to emerge. The galaxy is vast, and Foundation has never been afraid to remind us that unknown dangers lurk just beyond the edge of the map. Season 4 could introduce entirely new civilizations, rival powers, or even enemies who have been watching quietly while the Empire and Foundation fight. A fractured empire might invite invasion, and a rising Foundation might find itself tested by challenges far beyond its original vision. All of this leads to one central idea. Season 4 will not be about stability, it will be about upheaval. Every major character, every faction, and every belief system introduced so far will be tested under pressure. The finale of Season 3 showed us the fall of illusions, but the future may show us the rise of something even more dangerous, the idea that no one can control history. Not the Cleons, not the Foundation, not even Seldon himself. And this is what makes Season 4 so exciting to imagine. We're no longer asking whether the Empire will fall. That question has been answered. We're asking what rises in its place and whether humanity will survive the transition. Will the Foundation become the beacon Seldon promised, or will it repeat the mistakes of those it overthrew? Will the Mentalics tip the balance toward freedom or tyranny? Will new voices emerge to claim the galaxy, or will chaos reign until a new order is forged? The answers aren't here yet, but that's the beauty of Foundation. It's a story about history unfolding in front of us, about the unpredictability of human choice colliding with the inevitability of change. Season 3 ended by shaking the galaxy to its core. Season 4 promises to show us what rises from the ashes. And now the question is for you. What do you think happens next? Do you believe the Foundation will truly reshape the galaxy, or will a new form of empire rise from the shadows? Could the Mentalics be the real game changers, or are they just another step in a larger plan? Drop your theories in the comments below, because this is a story that thrives on discussion, on speculation, and on the imagination of its audience. One thing is certain, the story of Foundation is far from over. The finale of Season 3 didn't close a chapter, it opened a new one. And Season 4 could be the moment when everything changes.